My name is Tim Carter, and this is KOINE Life Part 3. We established in Part 1 the need for a working definition from the Bible to admire what a commoner would admire. That is, someone who just simply, I'll take the text, believe it, my meaning will come from the text, and we can come up with derive a working definition. Then Part 2, we built on that by learning the purpose of the gospel, that is, the miracles of Christ in the Gospel of John to have been written along with their contextualized narratives, and the purpose of them to remain on record. And we talked about that, how causal agency really bore that out for us so that we might deliberately cause ourselves to believe. We followed up that with explaining to our young people, as we did in Part 2, KOINE Life, that the new birth precedes, that is, being fathered, having been fathered and continue to be fathered out from God, precedes, happens first before a person is the kind of person who will, if we will, deliberately cause themselves to keep on, it's present tense, keep on believing that Jesus is the Christ. So we were able to teach them that and understand it. And this understanding now in this KOINE Part 3, we explain another flummox, for example, the flummox like the one of free will, libertarian, or compatibilism, but no working definition of the word from the Bible. So we have that. We can then expand it and understand, appreciate how we better understand our New Testament from what we gained in our Old Testament. Now there's young or old earth. We taught our children there's not two earths, and this is speaking to young people and even young adults. We're not really patronizing our children, but we have one earth that things have happened to it throughout time and ages, and we told them the Bible does not teach us how old it is. Advocates of young prove that by using the word young, and advocates of old prove that or demonstrate it by saying old. So we don't ask our young people to choose. So our young people will be just as happy to go see the replica of the Ark in Kentucky and enjoy it and be fascinated by it. I'm certain we'll take a lot of selfies. Then they'll be very comfortable in their science classes, not science merely as the word's negatively connotated, as though everything with the word science is, I don't know how that's happened, but I guess it does something for people. But they're very scholastic, very academic, and very educated. And we taught them about the dangers, the divisive nature of letterism, a battle formed over the years as early as the 90s over verse 2 of Genesis chapter 1. Become, came to be, uninhabited, or unformed and uninhabited, or as it was. And even Wayne Grudem in his systematic theology in the 90s cast doubt upon the translation of become without form and void, saying it was an alternate or a doubtful translation. And even now, when you begin to speak, people who have been primed, pro or con, will begin to be aroused, not knowing that there's actually a determinant in the New Testament where on more than one occasion it's quoted in the Gospels. That word ha-yah in the Old Testament is quoted or translated by a word that means come to be. But again, we didn't teach our young people that so they could then go out and pick a side on the age of the earth, because they now have been taught that was not the purpose of Moses writing that text, to argue that. And that's a lot of freedom, because it's hard to find permission to just be a commoner. It's hard to find people who don't want to pull and tug, as Jesus said in Matthew 11, where on one side you'll have people piping, wanting to call the shots so you'll dance, and on the other side you have people mourning who will want you to play a dirge and play along. And he was referring to childish games, and also prescribed rules and regulations that the religious order of Pharisee and Sadducee, which is a perfect example of the dichotomy. There's Pharisee, Sadducee, and for us there's Protestant, Catholic, there's Judaic, Islamic, and we're not any of that. We've come out from all of it, or as our history has proven, God's had people from the beginning of time until the present day that have never been part of any of these things that we considered state-sponsored. So from the time of Pharisee, Sadducee, Catholic, Protestant, Calvinist, Arminian, then it just breaks down into all these sub-dichotomies, micro-schisms. Even in Islam, there's Shiite, Sunni. So we don't in Koine life find ourselves capable of thriving when we're in those conditions of contraries and caught between the flummox, because it's not real. We taught our children it's absolutely not real. It's by reifiers, people who want to make something real. They reify it and they charge it and they prime it. Just where's the text? So Genesis 1:2 can legitimately and valid, it can state and it's valid that it says become, but we didn't teach that so our young people could go out and pick a side. And that's a freedom they needed. They also needed to not receive from us, through Koine especially and through our local congregation there, they didn't need to receive from us reasons to begrudge or belittle or to go out and speak down other people. There aren't really any people out there who aren't dichotomized. We can't go out into a world and make disciples of people and then be disappointed that they're already divided when we get there. There's even a Northern and a Southern Baptist convention. Now think about it, North and South, Civil War, North and Southern Baptist. There's all types of things. It just, after a while, our young people would just, like most people, just give up and shake it off and throw it all away. The good news is they've never really been taught those things. We've been shown there is something to know in the Bible that doesn't have to be augmented or divided. So that's enough in this part 3, is that there is no such thing as two earths. There's no such thing as a knowledge of the age of the earth determined inside the Bible. If there were, people wouldn't use words like young or old, and that's really something that I think that's not something that promotes life that we know at Koine life. So with that, we now for over 20 plus years have never had the need to jump in there and draw lines like that, because what we taught was what has happened to the earth, what's going on now with the earth presently, and what will eventually end the age. Our earth will end with Christ returning bodily and establishing a new heaven and a new earth and a reign on the earth bodily that was forfeited by the first Adam. And that's very good to look forward to and glorify Christ when he returns bodily. So that's what our kids know, and that's what they look forward to. So that's enough.